Live on the moon, Jaro. It's Friday Night Live with your host, David Knapp. Thank you, Clap Track. Happy Friday, everybody. So good to be with you all tonight. We've got a banger of a show tonight. I am so excited to be here with you all. How's everybody doing? How was everybody's week? Melissa, Jess, Dink, Sue, welcome to the stream. Appreciate each and every one of you joining for Friday Night Live. Is there a better Mounjaro live stream out there? I mean, honestly, I'm a little bit partial to this, but it's my baby. I love doing this. I love being here with you. It is one of the best parts of my week. Melissa, welcome. Look, I'm a Goldie now. Awesome. Hey, we've got a great show. Like I said, we've got some great topics this week to discuss, and I am so excited. Not only that, but we've got new bumpers for all of our segments that we do here, and I am just super excited to roll those for you tonight. So yeah, put a little extra effort into it this week, and I appreciate it. So without further ado, if you have questions tonight, put them in the chat with a Q in front of them. That way the moderators will know that that's a question for me so that I see it, because I don't want to miss your questions. Melissa, hi. Welcome to all the members of the channel. Appreciate you all joining. So we've got some big news to cover this week. There is a lot of news in the world of Mounjaro, and we're going to get right into it with a little extra long. So what's fresh this week? What is fresh in the world of Mounjaro? Well, there is quite a bit that's fresh. So the first thing that I want to get into with all of you is to tell you that we've got like 5 new members of the channel this week. So I want to welcome Cutie Pie, Sandra, Mike, Janetta, Melissa, and Randy's, who have become members of the channel this week. We appreciate each and every one of you who has chosen to give back to the stream in that way. We appreciate each and every one of you. If you are interested in becoming a member of the channel, you can do that. The link is in the description below, and we would love to have you over there. There's a lot of updates on the membership side that you don't get on the front side. A lot more personal aspects of my own journey are there, and yeah, I just really enjoy the small community that we have over there. It's just a little bit more intimate and enjoyable. I'm having a great time over there, and I know that the others that are there would say the same. The other thing is that I did a video this week. Was a takedown of the Eli Lilly call, right? So they had a Cowens participated in the Cowens forum, did a fireside chat. So we did a takedown of that, followed up with a video here, and just kind of went through everything that they covered there. So if you didn't catch that update this week, make sure you hop over to the channel and catch that. So in addition to that, there was some pretty big news this week. You may have heard that Weight Watchers acquired the online, it's like a weight loss program that you can enroll in online. It's like telehealth doctors. So Weight Watchers bought Sequence. So how exactly they will be folding into their offerings is kind of TBD. But if you followed my journey, you'll know that I have actually started Weight Watchers. I'm now almost 2 weeks into the Weight Watchers program. So this was huge news because as I was kind of getting started on this again, I thought, this is what they're missing is like these GLP-1s and being able to add that. And lo and behold, a few days later, this announcement came out, and we're going to be talking about that on tonight's stream. And I'm super excited to kind of cover just some of my general thoughts about that. I have the chance to have BJ Davis on tonight. So we're going to have an interview. He's got the Hot Channel this week, and we're going to talk to BJ about his journey, about some of the updates that are going on in his world. A big video that he's posting tomorrow. The link will be the link is in the description for that video. So make sure you get over and check that update out tomorrow. It's going to be a big update, but he came on the channel. We've got a great interview with BJ tonight, and I am super excited to share that with you tonight. So how's everybody doing? Is everybody doing well? I hope that you all are doing well. It's been such a such a great week. I mean, I had a great week. Work wise, I had a really productive week at home. Got some stuff done for the channel. Really excited about the updates that we have here. We've got a super fun segment here. I don't know what to call it fun, but I enjoy it. We do this every week, and it is Fake News Friday. Are y'all ready for Fake News Friday? I hope so.
You are fake news.
It's a lot of fake news. And there's one in particular that I wanted to cover. And you probably saw this earlier this week. And I debated whether or not to cover this on my channel because it actually comes from a source that I tend to agree with fairly often, but not on this topic. Not on this topic. And so I want to cover here Candace Owens. Candace Owens, well, she had some things to say about GLP-1s. And the things that she had to say about them were not super great. Not super great. She made a lot of this. So it's like a 3-minute and 44-second video that I caught earlier this week. And on this video, she said a lot of just outright false things in a really short amount of time. And I want to cover them because it's just worth a rebuttal. She has millions of people that follow her. Millions and millions of people are getting this information and walking away with it. And it's just, it needs to have a rebuttal from the community. So I thought I would give my kind of rebuttal. Some of the more obvious, outrageous claims she made were like lumping semaglutide and GLP-1s and the studies they go through in with the COVID vaccine for some reason. Just completely ignoring the fact that the treatments for COVID were developed under the emergency use authorization. They were fast tracked. They weren't subject to the same kind of scrutiny that normal medications are. It's just an absurd claim to kind of throw those in there with something like the COVID-19 shots. Semaglutide was obviously went through rigorous FDA testing, just like all medications do. And so these statements are really disingenuous at best. She also took a shot at this idea that these GLP-1s age you prematurely, kind of touching on this idea of Ozempic face, which is honestly, it's so stupid. It's not even worth a rebuttal. It's just like, okay, Candace, of course you're going to jump on that with everything else you're saying. But the big claim that she was talking about was a story that broke this week. It's basically some information out of China from some Chinese researchers that claim that after 20 months, semaglutide can cause the small intestine to become enlarged, and that this can lead to an obstruction. And that the reason that this was missed in clinical trials in the US is because apparently they weren't long enough. She said these were only 16-week long trials, and in China, they found that this was happening at 20 weeks. So let's just go through some of the things that she said and kind of put some facts around the falsehoods that she said. So number one, she said that Novo is admitting that this drug will kill you. Like, those are her words. This drug will kill you. The truth is they're not. These Chinese researchers are the ones who are claiming this, not Novo. Novo hasn't even answered this. And it's like, we have to consider the source of where this is coming from. It's coming from Chinese researchers, as if they have zero incentive to hurt Western companies, as if they have zero incentive for people in the United States to remain obese. It's just ridiculous when you consider the source. And while it's true that the phase 4 trials for Ozempic lasted less than 20 months, the SUSTAIN 6 trials for semaglutide lasted 20 months. And in that study, more people died on the placebo than they did on the semaglutide after 20 weeks. So it's a falsehood to say that the only trials were 16 weeks. That's just not true. Second of all, on the trial that lasted 20 weeks, more people that were on the placebo died than in the study. And I think they were very close numbers. They were both, what you would expect within the sample size for the period of time, the age, and the comorbidities and all that stuff. But honestly, it's just it's just an outright false statement that she's made. Her second claim is this is a quote. She said, in reference to the bowel obstruction, the growth in the small intestine, she said, that makes sense if you're injecting yourself with something that causes you to not eat for days on end. It's probably causing an obstruction in your digestive system. So the truth is that this just isn't even a well-formed thought. So how does not eating food apparently equate to a bowel obstruction? Explain to me how that works. It doesn't even make sense. Now, could some of the other mechanisms within semaglutide, GLP-1s, could they contribute to factors that weren't seen in these studies over the long term? Sure. Should these things be studied? Absolutely. Is there zero risk taking any medication? No. But this to create such hype and hysteria around this is so ridiculous. What we know is that, or what we don't know about, what these claims are are they real? Is there actual risk involved? We don't know that, but we do know the risks of being obese. We do know the comorbidities that exist for people who are obese and remain that way, right? We do know that. So to just jump on this, Chinese research bandwagon is just absolutely ridiculous. She ends with, Big Pharma, if they've told us anything, it's that they just want profits. Well, Big Pharma is a business, and Big Pharma wants profits the same way that you want clicks, Candace, and the same way that Daily Wire wants to generate revenue. It's business. Of course, that's what they want. So all of a sudden, conservative pundits are against that. It doesn't make any sense. At a minimum, every time she opens her mouth on this topic, it's tarnishes her credibility at best, and at worst it's keeping people from potentially seeking out life-saving medications, right? So I just felt like something needed to be said on the topic of GLP-1s. This isn't an indictment on Candace Owens as a person. This isn't an indictment on her politics or anything. It's a GLP-1 conversation particularly, and that's what this channel is about. We're about bringing you good information about what's going on in the world. And when something happens that can potentially stand in the way of people who need treatment getting what they need, I'm gonna say something about it. So I realize that could be a little controversial tonight, but I felt like it needed to be said. That will be all I have to say on the matter tonight, but I thought that it was worth mentioning for sure. So on a lighter topic, we've got some great things to discuss with our hot channel tonight. Our hot channel, like I said when I teed it up earlier, is BJ Davis. Just super excited to bring you that interview, and I'm super excited to roll the bumper.
Hot channel.
So the hot channel, BJ Davis, so excited to bring him back into the stream. And without further ado, I present you with my interview with the king of the Mounjaros, BJ Davis. Ladies and gentlemen, I am so excited to welcome into the stream tonight one of my favorite channels on YouTube for Mounjaro. I'm going to kill this light. I don't need that extra glare on my forehead. Sorry, the lighting's not super great today, but one of my favorite channels on YouTube here. It's at BJ Davis. BJ was the first fellow YouTuber that I actually did an interview with back when very early on in the channel. One of my first live streams with somebody else was with BJ. BJ is also who I lovingly refer to as the king of the Mounjaros. He has a Discord channel that I link in most, if not all, of my videos. And talk about in most of my videos, where some of the best conversation about Mounjaro takes place on the entire internet. So if you haven't had a chance to check out BJ's Discord, please check it in the links in the description below. But without further ado, I would like to welcome in BJ Davis, king of the Mounjaros. BJ, how are you?
I'm good. I don't know about being king though, but One thing I've been considering since you have dubbed me with the, title king, I think we're going to start calling ourselves Discordians on the Discord, not Manjorians. What do you think about that?
I like that. I like Discordians. Yeah, especially since a lot of the people, like many on my channel and probably yours as well, have been kicked off the moon, as I like to say on this channel, and are trying other GLP-1 medications like Ozempic and Wegovy, some of the other ones. So yeah, Mounjarians doesn't necessarily probably encapsulate everybody who's there anyway. So I like Discordians.
I think that's a better description of us. And you're right. There are a lot of us concerned right now about what's going to happen in June when we can no longer have the discount for the Mounjaro that we're taking.
Right. So many of our friends here in the community on YouTube are finding themselves, for whatever reason, whether it's a coupon issue or whether it's sourcing the right dosage issue, insurance issue, whatever it may be, are having to look at other alternatives. BJ, I'm curious. I know you've shared a little bit about, reaching your goals, especially since your coupon expires in June. What are your plans? I know you're trying to hustle and get to your goal. What are your plans post June?
Well, I am very close to the original goal that I set for myself. And week before last, I had a doctor's appointment, and the doctor actually wants me to lose 36 more pounds lower than what I'm currently at. And he said that for my height and my bone structure, that would be a good weight. He said he'd like to see more, but he says if I can get down to 270, he would be satisfied. So that's my new goal, is 270. So that right now, well, at the time was about 36 pounds away. I'm a lot closer to that now, but I'm not ready to declare victory yet on the 100-pound loss. I shared a video yesterday that explained why. Dave, I'm facing some surgery in the near future. I'm going to have a hip replacement. Right now, it's bone on bone, and every 3 or 4 months, I have to have an injection to deal with the pain. And the doctor tried to help me 2 weeks ago, and he prescribed meloxicam. And it's great. It works. It takes the pain away, but it also has an adverse effect. It makes you retain fluid. So instead of losing weight, my weight started creeping back up again.
Yeah. How frustrating. It's kind of a trade-off, right? Do you want to live in pain, or do you want to reach your goal? And you've got kind of both things pressing on both sides. Either the coupon's running out and you want to take full advantage of the Mounjaro, but it's no fun to live in pain either.
What did you think about my catch line on my thumbnail? No pain, yes gain.
Oh yeah, you got me to giggle a little bit on that. I was curious, obviously, before I watched it, but after I watched it, I thought that's pretty clever title. Yeah, I really enjoyed the kind of the sneaky cleverness of some of that stuff on your channel, and you've had some videos too that have been hilarious. The bless your heart videos, and I've enjoyed those too.
Well, it's difficult to come up with fresh and new material. So many of us have been on the journey for so long with Mounjaro, and I don't want to come on the channel, like I was doing every week and just giving an update. People really want to have new news about Mounjaro and what's going to come after Mounjaro. So going forward, that's what I'm trying to do with the channel.
Yeah. Well, I really enjoyed all of your updates from the beginning. I think that the last couple weeks, I feel like I want to see more BJ Davis. That's what part of the reason I wanted to have you on the stream. I haven't seen enough BJ Davis, so I'm sure that those in the chat on this live stream tonight would probably agree with me as well. The more BJ Davis, the better. So I want to camp out on that topic of the hip replacement. So obviously you have a goal weight that you would like to hit by the time that you get to the point where your coupon runs out. I know those hip replacements are no joke. I've known several people over the years, whether it be employees of mine or coworkers of mine, friends of mine, who have had that surgery done. And I know that it immobilizes you for a good period of time. So how do you plan on, how do you plan for victory after all the progress that you've made, and maybe you're not even there. Maybe you're still in the stages of trying to decide what that looks like. But what do you envision for that process as far as how to keep the weight off?
Well, there is a new procedure that doctors are using now for hip replacement. It's called, I think the pronunciation is Ontario, where they come in from the front. And if they are able to do that, you get to go home the same day. It's almost like outpatient surgery. And you
Wow.
get steps the next day. But you have to be under a certain BMI. If you are over a certain BMI, they won't ever discuss that with you. My BMI is about 0.5 of a point below that now. So I met with the surgeon last week in Asheville, North Carolina, and he said I do qualify for it. That it would be better if I lose more weight, get down to the 270, which is probably 30.5 pounds now. Give you a little bit of hint on what's going to come to my video here. And he'd be willing to do it. But he said the more weight that I can lose, the better the outcome will be. But if you qualify for this new procedure, you don't have to stay in the hospital, a day or 2 days. You actually go home that day and you're walking before you leave the hospital.
Wow.
But getting the weight off.
Yeah. Well, thankfully, BJ, you have been on the ball in the last year as far as taking control of your health journey, your overall health journey, so that you're in a position. I don't know if you knew a year ago. I mean, you haven't been on Mounjaro for a year yet, but if you knew before you started this journey that you would be looking at hip replacement, is it hip replacement or hip surgery?
It's hip replacement on the left side.
And you go home the same day?
With this new procedure, you go home the same day. Yes, I know several people that have had this procedure, and it's amazing.
That is amazing.
But you've got to meet the weight goal in order for them to even entertain that. So that's more incentive for me to continue the course.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I know you've got a lot of people in your corner, both on my channel here, on your channel, in the Discord, that are all rooting for you, and just so proud of the success that you have had getting yourself to this point where, you're able to hopefully have that surgery, that, basically outpatient surgery on hip replacement. That's awesome. I mean, tell me a little bit, BJ, about how do you plan on documenting that part of your journey, that hip replacement part of your journey, on the YouTube channel, or have you not thought about that too much?
No, absolutely. The prep work to get ready for it, coming home afterwards, that goes back to the new and fresh material that, I was talking about earlier when we started our discussion today. I think that would benefit a lot of people because, we all know that people can be overweight, but still healthy. That's just a fact of life. Their lab works are normally good, but, that doesn't prevent you from having complications later in life, like hip surgery or knee surgery. That's when the weight for a lot of people will come into play, and it will actually prevent surgeons from even entertaining doing any type of procedure on you unless you are under a certain weight. Makes it difficult on the surgeon, and it makes the patient's recovery difficult as well.
I can't remember if you answered this earlier or not, but did you say that before you started Mounjaro, did you know that you were facing a hip replacement?
No, I had started having some pain. I thought it was just due to old age, but it's actually from a lifetime of carrying around extra weight. For most of my adult life, I've been carrying around an extra person, it seems like, and it finally catches up with you.
That is a great kind of lead into another question I have, because part of the reason that there were a lot of reasons why I have tried so hard over the last few years, especially since I started having kids, to really take ownership of my health, and especially as it relates to my weight, because I want to be mobile. I want to be able to move around and play with my kids. I think back to when my oldest son was first born, was probably around the lowest weight that I had gotten to in my life, just preparing for him. And I was down into the 250s, which is the lowest basically that I've been in my adult life. And then it's been this slow creep up to, I hit 320, 319, I think, at my highest. I can't remember when that was, maybe a year, 2 years ago. Right now I'm sitting at about 280. Thanks to Mounjaro and just some of the extra things that I've been doing. But that was a huge part for me, was I don't want that wear and tear to be catching up with me at a young age. So that was a huge part of my journey as well, just losing the weight so that I don't end up at 45 needing new knees or, whatever it may be. So I'm glad that you're going to document that part of your journey, because I think there's, just like with the Mounjaro, there's plenty of people out there who are going to be facing that surgery and or the potential of having that surgery, and being able to get information from people who have gone before them it's why I do this channel. I'm sure it's part of the reason why you do your channel as well.
It certainly is. And I can't stress enough that, while you're young enough and you can do something about your weight, if you have weight issues, that's the time to do it. Because as you get older, many of us are going to be faced with, as we discussed, not having Mounjaro, and getting the weight off is going to be a lot harder than it was. So
Yeah,
now to do it.
absolutely. So because you have lost so much weight, I'll say close to 100 pounds of weight loss at this point.
I plan on having some good news tomorrow, hopefully.
All right. Well, great. And if you have some good news and you share it, it will be linked in the description below. I promise you that by the time that this airs. So I will. I'll let you know I'll let the viewers know tonight after this interview if that video made its way up to the interwebs, and if they did, it'll be linked in the description below. But BJ, on the topic of losing almost 100 pounds, tell me what that's done for your energy levels.
Well, the energy levels is something that I think comes naturally. You're not tired as you always have been. I mean, when you're overweight, you tend to be sedentary. Once you start losing the weight, you actually feel like getting up, going shopping, possibly walking around a big box store like Walmart, or Lowe's or Home Depot. And, it actually gives you the energy to do exercise. It's like a catch-22 or a vicious circle. You need to exercise, but you're too tired to exercise. And so I think the weight loss actually helps quite a bit with that.
Yeah, that's excellent. Excellent. And I'm still waiting for that burst of energy to come from the weight loss, although I haven't lost near 100 pounds, but I can only imagine at 30 pounds lost roughly, I'm feeling quite a bit better energy wise. I can't imagine another 70 pounds and how I would feel then, but certainly, yeah, like you had mentioned, what sparked my mind on this was when you said you were basically carrying around another person. And if I go by BMI targets for what the target weight is, I know that that's a can of worms. But if I were to go by that, then I've certainly been carrying around an extra person up, in the low 300s. So
I'm fortunate to have a doctor. We had a good laugh the other day. He says there's no way you'll ever reach what your BMI chart says you should be. It's just, those need to be overhauled quite a bit.
of
If you
course
look
they do.
at my chart, I should weigh about 190 pounds. I haven't seen that weight since grammar school.
Yeah. I can already envision how crazy the chat is going right now with people sharing their opinions on the BMI. I think that's pretty universally understood, especially by those of us who have dealt with obesity, that is a outdated system. But just like everything, like treatment for obesity has revolved around the BMI, and getting people closer to that number. I had a random thought today about Mounjaro. Even I was watching the commercial again for Mounjaro that came out around Super Bowl time, and just lamenting what a poor representation that video is of how Mounjaro is changing people's lives, and everything on that is focused around A1C, A1C, A1C. And I'm not saying that A1C and the BMI have the same problem, but it is interesting. All diabetic medications are focused on that one metric, that A1C, and getting your A1C down. And, I think of, all of the other applications that GLP-1s have that aren't related to A1C. Like, we've talked about fatty liver disease and sleep apnea and heart failure. And I realize they can't advertise to that right now because they're not approved for uses. But I just think, that the A1C is just the tip of the iceberg for what Mounjaro can do, not only for people struggling with those other comorbidities, but even as a type 2 diabetic. The sugars being down is great, but the ability to restore those gut hormones that allows me to feel the proper amount of full from the proper amount of food is like, to me, that's almost bigger than the A1C, because if you can get control of those gut hormones again, the A1C is kind of will follow,
It will.
as your weight comes down and
It will.
everything
And you
kind
men-
of comes into
you
balance.
mentioned, fatty liver disease. My sister-in-law, I interviewed her a few weeks ago, and I can share this much information publicly, but the doctor that she's been going to is actually participating in clinical studies now, or clinical trials for his patients. And they were very interested in talking to her because she was probably the first that they prescribed Mounjaro for to take the weight off. And it actually reversed a lot of her symptoms.
That's great. And that was an excellent video. We touched on that video when I did the Eli Lilly recap from the Cowan's call just a couple of nights ago. That is an excellent video. I'm also somebody who has fatty liver disease. So not to the point of NASH, but I know in that call, one of the things they said that made it very challenging to study is that it's very expensive to study, because NASH itself actually requires a biopsy
Yes.
to tell the level of deterioration that's gone on. So you have fatty liver, which can ultimately become NASH. So fatty liver is just having fat in your liver, but over time that fat can cause damage to your liver. That's NASH. And NASH's natural progression is then into cirrhosis of the liver, which millions of Americans have died from, cirrhosis of the liver. And so and it's not always related to alcohol. I think they're just, learning how much, your liver is affected by, the metabolic disorder in general. So a huge opportunity to help people just by getting the weight off, because if people can get a hold of their weight, a lot of the metabolic issues that kind of branch out from being overweight resolve. So that's just another reason why I've always been a huge advocate, BJ, on my channel. Since I started this channel, one of the first things I realized from the comments that I would read in the forums I was in is how these diabetic patients and obesity patients were pitted against each other about who deserves this medicine more. And really at the top level of it, it's obesity. I mean, if not all type 2 diabetics are necessarily obese, but a great number of them are. And, there's so many other conditions that spring out from obesity, like heart failure, like sleep apnea, like fatty liver, like NASH. Some of those other things that, are just as detrimental to somebody's body as a type 2 diabetes is. Just so happens that all the money and the research has gone towards diabetes. That's why there's so much innovation in that space. But certainly treating obesity is a prophylactic to all of those underlying comorbidities with obesity.
And I'm a firm believer that that's what Mounjaro started out as, for obesity only. I think the weight loss was just something they had not expected. And there's been recently a lot of news articles that are trying to determine, and there's actually some, predictions or, some explanations or theories of why that happened now. I read one recently where they may have accidentally discovered a synthetic hormone with Mounjaro. Did you see that one?
I did not.
Actually, that's posted in the media section of the Discord. Check it out when you have time.
Yes, I will. That's very interesting. So they think that they uncovered a synthetic like they created a synthetic hormone in Mounjaro
By accident. Of course, that's one scientist's opinion, but
Yeah.
Sense, because I will have lost tomorrow, hopefully, 24.97% of my body weight since
Wow.
July. And I never could have done that without something like Mounjaro.
So you have actually, by a long shot, so since July, right? You said July?
July 19th.
So how many months ago was July,
Uh,
roughly?
I'll pull my calculator up. I'll have to break
While
out of
we
the
do this,
here.
how many months ago was July of 2022? 7 months ago. Okay, so 7 months, which would roughly be 28 weeks-ish, right?
Yes.
So the study for weight loss, for the study in diabetic patients for the weight loss side of it with Mounjaro was I think 72 weeks, people lost 22.5%, up to 22.5% of their body weight. So you being at 24 at 28 weeks is just, it just speaks to the miracle that these medications are. I mean, can you, like you said, you couldn't have done that without this medicine.
No, I would have given up a long time ago. And interestingly enough, I know you're on Weight Watchers, and I'd like to hear more about that, because perhaps when I do stop taking Mounjaro, I need to adopt a lifestyle like that. But with Mounjaro, I haven't followed any particular diet. I eat when I'm hungry and stop eating when I'm full. And used to, I wasn't able to do that. It was, something that I had to have 3 meals a day, and, sometimes go back for seconds. I just enjoyed eating. But Mounjaro takes that feeling away from you. I mean, you get hungry, you eat, you fill up, you quit eating. I mean, it's no portion control or anything. And that's what's allowed me to stick with it more than anything else.
I think that you touched on really the gift of Mounjaro for people who have struggled with chronic obesity. And when I say, like, there's people who gain some weight, in a short amount of time, and then they're able to lose it with the help of these GLP-1 medications. But I think for those of us who have struggled with chronic obesity, we've fallen into that obesity category for 10 plus years. I don't know about you, but I always say I've been dieting 2 to 4 months out of every year for the last 10 or 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been a slow climb up. Right. I think that the gift of Mounjaro, and I always kind of put it in this little soundbite, is it lets me eat normal people food with normal people portions and feel normal people full. And it doesn't really get any more complicated than that for me with the Mounjaro. It's just the gift of what I think probably people without whatever metabolic hormonal issues that I've been struggling with probably feel. They can eat a plate of food, they can stop, they feel satiated. That hasn't been the case for me.
So is the Weight Watchers helping you with that?
The Weight Watchers. So what the Weight Watchers thing does for me, and I want to be careful when I talk about Weight Watchers, because I'm not necessarily an advocate for Weight Watchers, but I'm an advocate for Weight Watchers for me. And the reason is because I've dieted steady on for the last 15 years of my life or longer, 15 to 20 years of my life, I've been watching my weight and dieting at some point during every one of those years. And I think what that's developed in my brain, especially as it relates to the carbohydrates, I could go into a deep dive on why I think my brain's wired to think carbs are bad, even going before my diabetes journey. But I started to see these decisions about eating certain macronutrient rich foods as a moral choice. So when I would make the choice to eat something that had a lot of carbohydrates or was calorically dense, that there would be a certain amount of guilt involved in that, because I knew that that food was contributing or not helping me in my goals. And really, I think so. I developed a really unhealthy relationship with watching my macronutrients, which I realized if you go on YouTube and search weight loss stuff, I mean, everything is very focused these days on macros and getting your macros right. I think for me, what I needed to remove that moral decision, and moral might be the wrong way to couch it, but just that right and wrong decision about certain foods, I needed that to go away. And that's what Weight Watchers does for me, because it's just points. It's just points. If you eat a slice of pizza, it's this many points. And now you have this many points left. So I eat that, I enjoy it. And I know that now I've got, instead of having, I start for example, at my current weight, I have 52 Weight Watchers points a day. Yesterday, I was on the road and I made decisions about the food that I ate with kind of reckless abandon. I just didn't think about it much. And I used up every bit of the points I had for that day. And I used up almost the rest of the points. They give you some extra points to work with through the week. I just know that, that's the decision that I made. And as long as I keep tracking, I know that, I probably got a little bit of ground to make up. I can't make those kind of decisions every day. But again, it's removed this this right and wrong thing out of it by just making it a points-based system, and it simplifies it in a way that is helpful for me to track without obsessing. And when I track and I obsess, then when I fail, and I use that word in air quotes, when I fail, like yesterday, I would have normally called a failure. Yesterday was just a choice I made to eat a way that I don't eat every day. I just know that I've, got to make a different choice for the next day because it's just points.
Mhm.
So that was a very long-winded way of explaining it, but
So are you in a position yet to possibly recommend that for those of us in June, in summer when, we're going to be on our own, so to speak?
am I in a position to recommend Weight
Wait,
Watchers? I mean, I would recommend Weight Watchers for anybody who identified with what I just said.
mhm.
That's who I would that's who I would recommend it for, because I don't think that the science behind macronutrients are wrong. I don't think that it's wrong to say that some bodies can't process carbohydrates the same way, and I mean, I'm type 2 diabetic. The reality is when I eat carbohydrates, my body takes more insulin, being insulin resistant, than a normal person's body takes to regulate itself, and that's hard on my pancreas. That's just the reality. But the problem is with me, my brain has been so hardwired to think carbs equal naughty. I got little kids, so that's the vernacular that I'll use.
I don't think you're alone there. I think all of us have been
So,
brought.
so that's the gift of Weight Watchers. So anybody who can identify with that mentality, it's something that needs to be probably rewired for that person if they're obese and if they struggle with the roller coaster of obesity. That's probably who I would recommend it to, BJ. I don't feel in it like I'm in a great position to recommend anything to anyone as it relates to this. I'm a huge advocate for GLP-1 medications. I'm a huge advocate for treating obesity with modern medicine because they've just made such great advancements because it's such a pressing issue, especially in the United States, but worldwide. That's why I was actually very excited, BJ, this past week. So I started, it's funny, I was telling my wife this. I always have to tell her how smart I am because, but I told her, I started Weight Watchers about 10 days ago, roughly. And about 2 days into tracking this stuff and kind of exploring their website, exploring their app, I thought they need to integrate a way to treat this medically and build that into this app too. And news broke 2 days ago that Weight Watchers acquired Sequence, which is an online telehealth organization that is used by many fellow Mounjarians here on YouTube, but also a lot of the Discordians, I believe. And so building that into their structure with how they treat this, I think is just a huge leap forward. I think it's a match made in heaven because obesity is more obesity. I don't mean weight gain. I don't mean fluctuations in the scale. Obesity is something that I believe more times than not requires medical intervention for long-term success. And I believe that because I still think there's a lot they don't understand about the correlation between obesity and hormone levels. And I think it was somebody on the stream, maybe, I don't know, a few weeks ago said, I really think, and I think it might have been Michelle, I really think we're getting to a day where they will be able to do testing on you specifically, BJ, and on me specifically, Dave, and they'll be able to test certain levels, and then they'll be able to create maybe a compounded medicine that treats me uniquely. So instead of just giving me Mounjaro at 5 milligrams or 15 milligrams or whatever it would be, that it's also giving me a concoction of not only the GLP-1 agonist and the GIP agonist, but it's also giving me some other hormone that I'm deficient in. And it's also giving me vitamin D because my vitamin D levels. So like just a very personalized treatment for obesity. And that's the day that I really envision. And so to see this marriage of these tools like Weight Watchers, which have been wildly successful for many, many people over the years, but now acknowledging like, hey, this is bigger than a choice that somebody's make to eat something or to not eat. There's something metabolically that needs to be addressed as well. I just think that's a huge leap in the right direction.
No, you're absolutely correct. And the latest move by Weight Watchers, that's their way of pivoting. They know that they see the writing on the wall. I mean, eventually, with the new medication technology like Mounjaro, Weight Watchers, Jenny Craig, Nutrisystems, their popularity is going to wane, and they're going to have to be able to change their course in order to meet the demand. And they're just getting on the bandwagon. I think they, have to make sure that they have viability going forward. And the move by Weight Watchers, I think, is brilliant.
So that's that's exactly the position I would expect an accountant to take, because from a business standpoint,
I'm a former banker, not an accountant.
Okay, a finance guy. You don't want to get thrown in that boat, do you? You're much more enjoyable to converse with than the accountants are. But there's a business side of this that makes sense, to be sure. I mean, this kind of move for a company like Weight Watchers really ensures the longevity of that company, in my opinion. But so there's the side of it that I talked about, kind of merging the sciences of those things. Then obviously it's a good business decision strategically for them to make for the long-term health of their company. But I think then there's also this kind of third element to it that I'd like to see. And that would be the incorporation of something like a Noom or some of these online counseling thing, telehealth as it relates to online counseling, that I would like to see be the next step for something like Weight Watchers, because I really do think it's probably ultimately a three-pronged approach. It's a plan. It's a diet and exercise plan that addresses behaviors. But then I think it's also, there's some mental stuff that goes on. Like, I really think that I'm to the point where I would probably benefit to talking to a professional about what are some of the other ways that I can unwire this thinking in my brain towards food. And Mounjaro's helped me get a lot of the way there just by helping me realize how much, like you said, how much I eat when I'm not hungry, and how much I eat because it's time to eat, or because somebody else is eating, or I'm eating because we're marking an event or a holiday, or the actual times where my body's saying you're hungry, versus the time I eat are pretty out of balance. And there's probably a psychological reason for that. So that's the next thing that I would like to see them address, is just kind of that element of it. Like, why are you eating? Why are you eating the things that you are? And I just think that once they add that, it'll be a juggernaut, because you've seen these things like Noom be successful, in penetrating some of that market space. You've seen the Weight Watchers and Jenny Craig's of the world, Nutrisystem, some of these other things, like their programs, people see success on those. But I think if you really want to get long-term success, because this ain't my first rodeo with Weight Watchers, and probably most people who are on it, then they're off it, then they're on it, just like I've been on and off keto or on and off whatever, fill in the blank. But if you want to see long-term sustained success in the fight against obesity, I think it has to be a three-pronged approach to treating the patient. I think there's a psychological element, there's a biological element, and then there's a behavioral side. So yeah, that's kind of, I'm glad you brought this up, because this is something that I wanted to talk about on this week's Friday Night Live. I thought about doing my own special video on this merger between Weight Watchers and Sequins. I think I'm saying that company right. It was Sequins that they bought, but the online telehealth company that they bought. But I'm glad we got the chance to converse a little bit about it. What other thoughts do you have in regards to, something like Weight Watchers joining with Sequins or these online pharmacies? You mostly see it just as a natural occurrence in business, or?
I think it's natural evolution for survival of those type of organizations. We've already seen that medications like Mounjaro and the new one that's yet to come that's going to be the market, and, if they can add value by doing the online diagnosis and the prescribing over the internet, that's just going to make those companies survivors as we go forward.
Absolutely.
Companies that just, sell you an app, say track your progress, or sell you food by mail order, those are going away. There's no doubt about it. And that's my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they're going away unless they make these kind of moves. I see that as the only way to compete, because it's science at this point. It's science being able to identify biologically what people who are obese are deficient in, supplementing those with pharmaceutical or even non-pharmaceutical medications. There's other, more homeopathic approaches people can take to restoring gut hormones and things like that. And I won't get into all that because frankly, I don't know a lot about it, but I know they exist. But yeah, excellent topic to discuss. BJ, I want to, before we wrap it up here, I just want to say a word of thanks for just the community that you have helped to build here on YouTube, not only here on YouTube, but by bringing us kind of all together in the Discord. It's just been a great place for me to learn and to bounce ideas off and also meet friends. I think you probably saw a couple weeks ago, I was down in Arizona and had the chance to meet Michelle, and all the great people who have become members of my channel here, who I share some more of the more intimate sides of my own personal journey on that side. So, just being able to be a little bit more vulnerable on that side. And I get such great, feedback from those people, but none of that really happens without the deep and meaningful connections that have been made in the Discord. And I really, on behalf of everybody that's there, just want to thank you for creating that, having the foresight to create it. And it's been a great place.
No necessary. I mean, doing that, creating the channel, that was one way that helped me hold myself accountable. And with the Discord, I am just very pleased with the camaraderie that I've seen, on that server. And, we're continuing to grow. So that's very good. And I think that, as the medications that are coming online in the near future, I think the Discord is going to be a natural place for them to congregate, and share experiences. At least that's what my vision for it is. That's
awesome. It's certainly been fun to watch the evolution of it becoming that, because I feel like that's exactly what it is. The links to BJ's Discord will be in the description of this video. If BJ happens to get a video with a big update in the next 24, 36 hours, whatever it may be, that will be linked in the description below, as are his call outs on just about every video that I do, but you'll find that in the description. BJ, it's been a pleasure to talk to you today. I appreciate conversing with you about all these topics. Just wish you continued success in your journey, not only as you battle, along with Mounjaro as a big tool to help you get to the weight, but as you look at hip replacement surgery. Just wish you all the continued success, and I can't wait to follow along on your channel.
The pleasure has been mine, and thank you for having me, Dave.
All right, BJ, you take care.
You too. Goodbye.
Thanks. BJ Davis, king of the Mounjaris. I so appreciate Ben. I appreciate his willingness over the life of my channel, really, to come on and lend his help to the stream. Again, the Discord, he's so great to have joined me. I hope you enjoyed that interview. If you did, please make sure you get over via the links in the description to BJ's channel. Give him a like and a sub. Check out his videos. And yeah, just so many thanks to Ben. So many thanks to Ben. That was a good looking guy there at the end. Hey, how was that interview? That we covered a lot. And I'm so thankful that BJ came on, and I'm so glad that he teed me up to talk about the Weight Watchers merger with Sequence. Didn't know exactly how we were going to incorporate that in with all the stuff at the top of the stream, but certainly, just to kind of recap, Ben has had tremendous progress with his weight loss journey with Mounjaro. It's all documented over at his channel at BJ Davis. It's linked in the description of this video, as is a link to his video for tomorrow, which is going to contain a huge update for his journey. So please make sure you get over there, hit the notification bell so that you can see that video when it goes live tomorrow night. So thank you again to BJ, the king of the Mounjarians, the grand poobah of the Discordians. We just really appreciate BJ and all that he has done for the community. So yeah, thank you again, BJ. When I was writing out the show notes for this video, I thought, it's going to be kind of controversial to talk about somebody like Candace Owens, who's a lightning rod, but I didn't think that the most controversial thing that would be said tonight was my comment about the accountants. So to everyone that I offended in the chat, if you are an accountant, or if you love an accountant, or if you aspire to be an accountant, you probably have a wonderful personality. It's just that the accountants tend to be the natural enemies of the salespeople, and vice versa. And I'm a sales guy. So anyhow, yeah, appreciate Ben joining the channel. Did y'all like it? If you are enjoying this stream tonight, if you enjoy Friday Night Live, if this is something you look forward to during the week, would you make sure that you hit that like? And if you're not already a subscriber, we would love to have you as a subscriber on the channel as well. So make sure you get over to BJ's after this video and like his channel as well. Subscribe as well. So this is the part of the night that many of you have been looking for. And I think I got something a little special here teed up. It's the cousin challenge. Put up your dukes, Chris. You ready to come in? Cottage cheese versus steak. The ultimate throwdown. Hey.
Oh my gosh.
How's it going? Hey, we need a background. We need a background. Let's
I know.
there. We got a background. The old Brixies. How you doing?
Good. Long
Good.
time no see.
Yeah. Like about 3-4 hours ago. You said you were going out with the girls. I was like, is Chrissy going to show up sauced for the FNL tonight?
No.
Probably just make for a better show, right?
Right?
No, Chrissy
I'm
and I.
always fun.
That is true. That is absolutely 100% true. I can vouch for that. Chrissy and I went, my sister Ann, she's at Sift Separate on Instagram, or Ann Metz, ANNMETZ.com. She's an artiste, and she had a show tonight, and Chrissy and her crew, she had a whole squad with her. Well, so did I, but mine were 3 feet tall. Yours were a little bit taller than that. She had her whole crew of ladies out tonight. Did you guys have fun?
We had a blast.
Good.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about on a Friday night. You can't be just
Yes.
doing Friday Night Live every Friday night. You gotta have some fun sometimes, right?
Well, you go through those periods in life where you're like, I don't have any friends. Like, I've been so immersed in my family for so many years that, like, I don't know who me is. And so I found these ladies, and we just we connected through our previous venture in weight loss.
Okay. Yeah, and I knew it was fun to see Amy, a mutual friend through that program, who I guess I had never met in person, and we met over Zoom on during COVID, and I was like, we didn't meet in person. I was like, I guess that's how everybody was meeting back then, was through Zoom.
Well, we went to nursing school together, me and Amy, so I knew Amy, but the other two, we were all coaches. So
gotcha. So my sister had an art show tonight. You should check out her art. If anybody's an Office fan, I trained my boys before we came in. I said, when you see your Aunt Annie, you tell her your art is the best art of all the art. It's a little Office line for anybody who's an Office fan. But anyway, so they did it. She got a kick out of it. But yeah, AnnMetz.com or Sift, SIFT separate on Instagram. So check her stuff out. But yeah, we went there tonight. It was a good time. And then Chrissy went out with her crew, and me and my little crew went out. We got some pizza down the street and had a good old time. So, but let's get down to the nitty gritty.
Here we are.
And here we are meeting virtually on Friday Night Live. So we've got our little cousin showdown, throwdown. So why don't you start by telling me about your week?
Wow. Wow. Well, my week was about baseline for right now. We had some good days and we had some not so good days. Um, but we didn't game, also didn't lose.
Well, that's not stepping backwards, so I would take that
Right.
for sure.
There may have been a brownie, which I told you about earlier, but yeah.
A
So,
brownie, a brownie. That was
a brownie. It took me 2 days to eat a brownie.
right. Now, did it take you 2 days to eat a brownie because of the Wegovy or because of the uh, like superhero self-control, or maybe a combination of the two?
It may have been the size of the said
Oh
brownie.
yeah, so it was a pan. It was a sheet pan.
If anybody knows what a Quick Star is, it's a Quick Star brownie.
Okay, so it was like a fist size brownie,
It was
a
it was
Dave
a
half
brownie.
fist. So yeah, you and I had similar weeks. So okay, so to just not to steal my own thunder, but like same. Like I didn't lose a single pound this week, but I am happy because the first week, if you remember, the first week I lost 8 pounds. So when I
I
weighed,
was so nervous.
you were so because you're like, he keeps this up. Well, I'm gonna have to get my gallbladder removed. But second of all, yeah, that would be crazy. And I knew like 8 pounds in a week. That no, it's not how it works. But to be then a week removed, to be at that same weight a week later, I'm going to call that a win, because now I could say after 2 weeks, it probably is, a significant loss from that first week. So let's talk. Like, I had a great week last week. It was my first week on Weight Watchers. I was super excited about my progress. I was super dedicated to, doing the points, the whole deal. Right. And then like this week, I traveled for work, which was great travel. I got to do some of the fun stuff in my job. Like, I mean, it's all pretty fun, but like, I got to go down and shoot a video in Kansas City and edit a video together. Like, this is what I do for work too. So I enjoyed that. But I just really didn't put a lot of checks and balances on myself with what I ate. So like, I think I sent you my CGM. I should have uploaded it here. I forgot to, but like I used up all my Weight Watchers points in a day. And then I think I used up most of my extra weekly budget that they give you too. Like, it was that kind of day. Um, like when you're driving, I feel like it's got to be really rough to be a truck driver. Cause it's like, you drive for a couple 100 miles. You're like, might as well go eat, a couple 100 miles more, like might as well go eat again. And especially like when you're driving past things maybe you don't have at home or stuff like that. So it can be, it's a harder challenge for me when I drive somewhere than when I fly somewhere. When you fly somewhere, travel's really hustle bustle. It's like, it's almost hard to overeat. You're running through the airport. You're actually it's probably a net positive. You're working out more, you're moving more, and you're eating less. But when you drive, especially when you're alone, it's like, it's boring. So I'm happy to be at 2 weeks at 8 pounds down. I'll take that. So my weight currently is at 281. And you said last week that you're 3 pounds underneath me. So that puts you at 278 ish.
This is so weird saying that out loud.
Yeah. Well,
It is what it is.
well, hey,
Um,
you're not saying 320, like that's what I was saying a couple years ago. So
my
yeah.
heaviest I've ever been. Sorry, I just showed I'm always cold. I got my blanket on my legs like an old lady.
Does Wegovy make you noticeably more cold?
No, my body makes
Your
me
body
cold.
makes
I've always been
It's cold-blooded. Yeah, all right.
yeah,
So,
cold hands, warm heart.
yeah, 100%. All of it's in your heart. Bless your heart. And not in the Benjamin Davis way where it's southern and sarcastic. I mean,
Right.
literally bless it. So yeah, so Wegovy doesn't make you cold. Mounjaro makes me cold, still makes me very, very cold. One of the first videos that I ever did on YouTube, I did a funny little video of me freezing at work. It was like I had my coat on and I was shivering, and like, I'm a big, hefty guy. I don't get cold. Like getting cold, not a thing for me. But I have noticed that when my body's in the mode of losing weight, so this happens to me every time I lose weight. When I start losing weight, I get really cold. Like my body has a harder time regulating itself. And I don't know if that's like weight coming off fast and it's used to more insulation, or whether it's something metabolically that happens. But yeah, I get super, super cold. Michelle says the hormone changes make us cold, and bariatric surgery does it too, even before the weight loss. Interesting. Take some
The biggest thing I noticed.
niacin makes me feel flush. But okay, go ahead.
The biggest thing I notice is like the dry mouth.
Yeah.
Oh, it's terrible. Just like I walked in and saw your mom and was talking to her, and I was like, I'm sorry, I have to get water. My lip is sticking to my teeth.
That reminds me of that scene in is that Jim Carrey movie?
I was like,
yeah. Yeah, there's a Jim Carrey movie where he's like plays a highway patrolman and his face does that.
it's me, myself, and Irene, isn't it?
That's it.
Don't tell me.
So neither of us lost any progress this last week. I'm gonna call that a win for this week. You know, it's interesting. I keep telling people Mounjaro lets me eat normal people portions, feel normal people full. It continues to do that for me, but I'm never really get the feeling where I'm just not hungry. And it's just interesting because you hear so many people share. And I got it kind of early on, but like, I feel like anymore, there aren't really days where I'm like, I don't want to eat. And anecdotally, like I hear so much of that from other people.
I have those days.
Do you?
Or I have those days where I'm hungry. Literally, there's nothing. That must just be the boredom. My brain perceives that as hunger.
Yeah.
But there's literally nothing that sounds good, so then I don't eat.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Those are probably the days that you're home, I'm going to guess, right?
Well, that's good. Yes, it is. It is. So
yeah. So there's that boredom factor. And that's kind of what I was talking about with Ben Davis when I was talking about Weight Watchers. Like that has been the gift of Mounjaro, is that like, if I want to overeat, my body's not really letting me. But if I'm wanting to continue to eat, I'm like, there's something wrong. Like there's something wrong in the wiring there. If my brain goes, keep doing it, but my stomach is like, please don't. You know what I'm saying? Like, right. And that's where I say, like, with this whole Weight Watchers joining with Sequence, like, I feel like they're 2/3 of the way there. Like, you need to address the diet. That's not insignificant, and exercise. You know, I feel like those things kind of go hand in hand. Lifestyle changes, right? So Weight Watchers has kind of done that, although somebody might argue they don't have much on the exercise size, but at least in the past, you could add points back in by exercising. I don't know if you can do that anymore, but anyway, behavioral changes, right? So we'll call what they've done in the past behavioral. Now they're adding the medical. And I feel like the next thing that they need to add is that third prong. And that would be something like the Noom app that addresses the why. Why do you eat when you're not hungry? Why do you eat past full? All of those things are very important to understand. And you know, you could even take it one step further than Noom and go to like those. So there's so many virtual counselors, therapists, things like that, just incorporating that third layer of like helping people get to the bottom of why do we overeat. And I feel like once they have all three of those, I feel like they're addressing kind of the whole person.
I was talking with the nurse practitioner Angie the other day, and we had our first checkup, and she was talking, well, I know it's Iowa and I know it's cold, but I want you to walk like 15 minutes 3 or 4 times a day. And I'm like, look, I'm not going to do that. Just flat out, I'm just not going to do that. First of all, I'm already cold sitting in my living room and I control the thermostat. Okay, I'm not going out there.
Right.
It's not
leaving
happening.
The house in Iowa in the winter is like, nah.
But on top of that, I have an active job. I get that I only go there 3 days a week. Do I get credit for that 3 days a week, though? Because I am on my feet. I am running here and there. When my cousin comes, I sprint. I mean, I'm just saying, like, I have an active job. And I told her that, and she was like, I know. And I'm like, Here's the thing though. When I get home, I don't just like sit here and cover up with my blanket. Like I'm constantly doing things and cleaning. Like we need
You're
an adaptive. Right. Thank you. I'm like we need an adaptive barometer tracker, whatever it is, to tell me I am still burning these calories, like my Apple Watch will tell me, but we need to integrate it in all of this. Like I clean my house. That included vacuuming, washing the dishes. The other day I did it all before I took my scrubs off. It just so like I am active, but it's daunting to get on a treadmill.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
But I'm moving my body.
I hear you. So what you're saying is ultimately you wish there was a better way to track your activity
Right.
and
So I
incorporate
don't
that back in.
feel like I need to be doing better, because I think realistically, like here's where my heart's at, like where you're saying I just want to be like everyone else. I want to do the things that, eat the real people for food in real people portions.
Yeah.
But I want to live the real people life as well.
Yeah, right. I 100% agree with you. And I've felt for a long time like
Normal people, not real people. Sorry.
I know that. And that's like with this whole journey, I feel like that's one of the things that I've tried to approach this thing from a really like a clean slate mindset where I'm like, okay, I'm going to reset everything mentally. And I just like, there are plenty of people in the world who eat what they want to eat and don't gain weight. And I realize there's metabolism and there's genetics and but there's not very many people who eat as much of whatever they want and don't gain weight, right? They just moderate.
Right.
And they're able to, quit when they're full. And so like, that's been the gift of Mounjaro is it's been the aid that has helped my body to keep up with where my mind wants to be. And that's just moderation. And that is something that I was so lacking. But yeah, so we both kind of held steady this week. That's great, especially for you, because your life has been just one thing after another the last couple weeks. So kudos to you. I don't want to congratulate you because I want to beat you, but kudos to you because it's very, very hard to sustain any program that you're on when life gets tough, and your life has given you a healthy dose of difficult the last couple weeks. So kudos to you for staying strong. Thanks for doing this tonight because this is extra work. So thank you for doing that. And thank you also to Michelle, who is sitting in the green room, I call it. And she is moderating and kind of helping me keep track of the chat. I decided the chat is like too much for me to keep up to with and do all the things on the live stream. So thank you, ladies, for helping me tonight. I appreciate you both. And I just want to say one more time to the members of the channel, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being the best part of what we do here. Chrissy, thank you again. Have a great week, Chrissy. And hopefully
you too.
Have a great week.
I can't not say it.
But not too great.
Right.
All right.
Have an amazing celebratory meal.
Celery. All right. See ya. Folks, I appreciate each and every one of you joining. We went a little long, had a nice long conversation with BJ tonight. I hope that you've enjoyed this stream. I enjoyed preparing it and getting it ready for you and doing this stream with you tonight. Thank you to Michelle. Thank you to Chrissy. Thank you to BJ. His links are in the description. Make sure you catch his video tomorrow. Without further ado, I'm going to send it off and wish you all a wonderful weekend. And thank you once more for being the best part of this channel.